it's MistyDom132 here, and I decided to do a little tutorial for you guys today on how to use this tool right here called the pen tool. It's used by a lot of people who want to, say, line in their art or scan in their art on Photoshop, like if it's already pre-drawn out, or even if it's not, even if you draw it digitally on the computer with a tablet or something, people still like to use the pen tool, or they can sometimes freehand it if you're really good with this, with freehand that is. But pen tools tend to make lines smoother and make nice curves, and you don't have to worry about messing up as much. So that's what I like using this for when it comes to lining in my artworks. That could also be used to make shapes, to fill in color in certain areas of a drawing or whatnot. So I'm just going to show you the basic use of how to utilize the pen tool, and then I'm going to show you an example how to line in, say, something, just basic, like how lining in your line art, for example. I just took this as something I've already be painted in, but this is the line art if you guys never saw it before. So anyway, so I've selected a black color, and what I recommend, especially for when lining things in, is what the pen tool does is it just makes, for example, a line. It just makes a path. It's not actually a line, it's just a path of where you want your line to go. So for example, okay, this is my line I just clicked here, and then you click here, and then for me to curve it, for example, I'm going to Control Z that. See, I clicked there, and then I click down here, for example. That'll make a straight line. If you want to curve it, just hold down the left click button on your mouse and just drag it out like this, like so. Drag it to where you want it to go. And some people might say, well, geez, when I click another line somewhere else, like here, unless I don't want to do a curve, it goes like crazy. How do I just, if you just want to cut off the line? Sometimes you go there and it's not doing exactly what you want it to. In order to cut off a line for something, I hate the fact Photoshop doesn't allow you to undo with the shortcut, which is Control Z, by the way, for undo on a shortcut on a keyboard for most programs. But yeah, to cut off a line, what you want to do is hold down the Alt key on your keyboard and click here where you left it off. So click there. That means that that line's done, which means you can start it off somewhere else. So if I wanted to, say, start it off up here without it going weird on me, click right there, hold down your left click button, and there you go, let go. And say I want to break this line again to make a new line starting from there, and I want to go back to the beginning. So I just click back to the beginning and bring my line back to there. And basically you always want your line to go back to the beginning if you want to make like a shape, or especially you want to fill it in. You don't have to do that if, say, you're just lining some line art in. But if you wanted to make a shape to fill that shape with color, that's what you would have to do. But I'm just going to show you just to do a basic line. So basically that's a path. What it does is it just will simulate whatever you put on it. So for a paintbrush, for example, I always go with like 3. Use your basic paintbrush thing. If you don't, if you use other paintbrushes, like weird paintbrushes, like I don't know, like leaf paintbrushes, for example, that simulate like leaves, almost like stamps kind of deal. It'll just stamp a bunch of leaves around it, and that's not really probably what you're wanting to go for, unless you are, by all means. But anyway, I'm just going to show you the basic line. So pick like whatever size of paintbrush you want, because it's going to simulate the thickness and the size of brush. So I'm going to go with 3. And once you have your path made out, once again, you don't have to connect the lines unless you want to fill this in, which I'll show you in a bit. So what you want to do is you want to go back, make sure you're on your pen tool, and you're going to want to right click, and then you're going to want to hit stroke path. So stroke path. And this is where it's going to tell you what tool you want to use. You use brush, not just brush, mind you. You can use pencil, you can use all these tools. It'll simulate whatever it is that you want. I mostly just leave it on brush because I like using brush. If you want it to be pencil, you can leave it at pencil. Say if you wanted to make something look like it's been pencil drawn even though it's digital, you could do that. But I usually just go with brush. So I'm going to go with brush, and there you go. It is now filled in that path with that brush. Now how do you get rid of the path? Because that kind of still doesn't look as full colored as probably you want it to be. That's because the path's still there. Next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to right click again, once again making sure your pen tool is selected, and hit delete path. And there probably is shortcuts for this. Who knows? I'm not sure if the delete key works for that. Like if you just were on that and hit delete, I'm not sure. I never tried it. So there probably is shortcuts for these things. If I find out what the shortcuts are, I could try to put them in the description of this video. And I probably should learn them too, because it's very good to know shortcuts for things. It makes things go by faster and more proficient and all that jazz. So anyways, so now we have our little circle here with that that thickness and size of brush. Like I said, if I undo all this, so step back, and then step back again, because for some reason, like I said, the shortcut doesn't work all the way on this. Now we just have our path again, and say if I want to change the thickness of the brush to, I don't know, 16, which is going to be ridiculous, but just for the sake of showing you guys what it'll do, once again, right click, stroke path, brush, and it'll be like that. Then also right click again, and then delete path, and then you got a really thick, crazy line. Or I'm terrible at making circles, but for the most part I kind of fiddle with it, but I'm just going fast for this tutorial for the sake of showing you guys. So anyways, so I'll probably just leave it like that, so who cares. Next thing I'm going to show you is how to fill a path. So for example, I want to fill my path with what now? Let's say we want to make a pink, or maybe not pink, purple. Yeah, purple. And I'm just going to make a new layer too, just to be safe. So I want to make a little purple something. I'll just make a quick little, you know, line here. And I want to make sure to connect it. If you want to fill a path in, make sure to connect it. So I don't know, really weird shape here going on. And bring it back to there. So that's a really pretty screwed up shape going on there. And you don't have to worry about the brush size for this at all, honestly, because you're gonna fill in this path with that color. So go back to your pen tool, make sure you're not on your brush tool, on your pen tool. And same deal as if you were gonna line in something, you're gonna want to right click, instead of stroke path, hit fill path. And it's going to be like, okay, so the foreground color, make sure it's on the foreground color, because it's the foreground color. The other one would be the background color, but we don't want it to be black, we want it to be the foreground color, which is purple. So make sure it's on foreground color. You can change the opacity of how much I think it fills in. I've never really messed with this stuff, and the same with the blend mode of how it'll fill it in. Once again, I don't mess with it too much, but by all means, go ahead, mess around with the program. That's how you kind of learn things. So I got on normal, everything's fine for me, click OK, and there you go. It's filled in that area with that color, and then you just same deal as last time, right click and hit delete path, and then you got yourself a cool looking shape or whatever. Anyway, so that's the basics of the pen tool. So, you know, like I've explained how to break the line and how to make different curves. Like, it's really easy, just pretty much holding down the left click button and dragging it around. If I just wanted that to just be just on its own, just a line, then I would just stroke path and then delete the path, and then you just have a simple line. You don't even have to connect it. The only reason why I usually connect things, and you'd want to connect things if, say, you want to fill the path in, otherwise I don't think it'll work. I'm pretty sure it's not going to work. So if I undo this, for example, just to prove, step backward again, if I try to fill path, I'm pretty sure it's not going to work. Yeah, it's going to try to make like its own little sort of cut it off for you. So I guess that's what it does. I've never messed with that, so that's kind of neat. But that's probably not what you're going to want. If you want something to be filled, you want it to be a specific shape, not have it make the shape for you. So that's not too cool. Anyway, I'm just going to stroke the path again and delete it. So yeah, that's the basics on how to use the pen tool. Now if we go to this little line art here, just to kind of show you what it looks like, I always make another layer. So I always make a layer above the line art, and usually I just call it like ink or whatever. And I just leave it on normal, because multiplying is for when you want to color things in. So if I go back to changing my color to black and make sure this is on, say, 3. And then you can, I'm just going to zoom in a bit more to be more precise. So now you can just easily trace where the line is and just drag it to whatever you want it to be. So the more you out drag, the more it'll go up and the less to go in. So you can keep dragging as much as you want to get whatever shape and curvature of the line you need. So for example, I did that. Oh, for some reason it did something weird on me. Okay, don't do that. And I'm going to break the line. Breaking the line and starting again. Like I said, breaking the line to me just seems safer for it to not do something weird on you. So now I got that line. I'm going to go with that line. I would normally do more before I fill in a line, but anyway, just for the sake of this tutorial. So stroke path, brush, there you go, I got a nice curvature line for this drawing now. Delete path, and there you go. If you zoom out the full way, that's what it looked like from a distance. It looks like a black line. You can change the thickness of that line or make it thinner and whatever the heck you want to do. I usually go with 3. I think that's a safe bet for line art. To me, I sometimes use, say, for example, size 2 brush for the eyes or other details, but for the most part, that's for the majority of the line. So yeah, that's your basics on how to use the pen tool and different things you can do with it. I know I can't remember how to do it now, but I think you can use the pen tool to make a path, and say for example if you were a 3D modeler or whatever, you could take that path that you've made in Photoshop, save it as just a path, and import that path into for example Cinema 4D, and then just based out that path you can make that line 3D and make a 3D model out of it. That's pretty cool. I've done that once for a FOP intro back when I used to be admin on the Fellowship of, well, it used to be called Fellowship Players, now Faction Players. Faction Players is still around, by the way, if you want to check them out. Let's Play in community. They help lesser recognized Let's Players get recognized and for their Let's Plays and stuff. Anyways, enough about that. So that's the pen tool. Hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial, and hopefully it's helped you guys learn a little bit about that particular tool in Photoshop. I might in future do tutorials on other tools, or if you want to learn more about a particular tool or certain things in Photoshop, I can try to do a tutorial on that and help you guys out, or if I don't know as much on the subject, I could do a little more research and then show you guys how to do certain things. So thanks again for watching, and until the next tutorial, take care. Again, because I can, and because I don't really know of anything else to type out. So that's what we're gonna have right here, is just put your text somewhere in the middle. Doesn't really, well, if you don't let go of control, now hit control and now hit U. Boom. So far it doesn't look like it did anything, but it actually did. So say if I want to get rid of the audio now, instead of these two being merged,